Hi everyone, so I am back in front of the camera and I am so excited because it's been a while since I've done a video, a beauty video, or just like informational video or anything like that. So I am really excited and I have a good one for you moms. I know when after having a baby you're always curious about breastfeeding, about anything that has to do with your baby. You're like Google it and YouTube everything under the sun. So today in this video I wanted to give 10 tips for breastfeeding success. I have tried a bunch of different things, I've looked into a bunch of different things, and these are the 10 tips that I feel that really made a difference in my breastfeeding experience and have really helped me with my supply and everything in that nature. So of course everybody's body's different. What may work for me might not work for you, so it's all trial and error and trying different things out. Okay, so to get started, we are just going to jump right into it. I think the biggest question about breastfeeding is how to increase supply. That's like everybody wants that. Everybody wants a whole bunch of milk and this abundance of milk, but that has its cons too, because you can get engorged, and then if you have too much milk, that means you have to pump all the time, and then you have to let that out, and it can be a real hassle too. But I am not that type of woman. I am a just enougher. I make just enough of what my baby needs, maybe a little bit more, just to have a small little freezer stash. But I don't have like a huge chest freezer full of frozen breast milk, none of that. So that's why I have really looked into these tips and techniques to keep my supply, keep it going, and not have it decrease, and try to get at least a little bit more. You just had a baby, and what do? There's a lot of different options as far as breastfeeding goes. You have pumping and nursing. Both are breastfeeding, they're just in different forms. So I think if you're going to, if you want to have your supply come in good, I think the most important thing is to nurse as often as possible so that your body reacts and knows how much to produce for the baby. I know there are some women that are exclusive pumpers, and they can do that too, but you just gotta kind of pick and choose. I feel like nursing the first 8 weeks really help with my supply and really help my supply, like have a steady supply of milk. Now, if you want to be an exclusive pumper, you can definitely pump. You just have to pump, on demand as much as your baby would want to eat. I would say if minimum the first month, try to nurse and have the baby on your boob as long as possible, or as many times as possible, because even their saliva on your breasts forms this reaction, and your body is building what type of milk your baby needs and how much milk your baby needs. So your body needs that connection with the baby so that you produce enough milk and the exact type of milk your baby needs. So that would be my first tip, is nurse as often as possible. At least the first 8 weeks I think are the most important to nurse, and have the baby on your boob as often as possible. So that's if you're, a stay-at-home mom. I think that's the biggest tip I would say. You don't really have to pump maybe if you're not going back to work or as often, so you don't really have, it's not so important to learn all these pumping techniques. So kind of the next tips and tricks are more for pumping. So you had the baby, you've been nursing your 3 months that you've been at home, and now it's back to work. So the first thing you're gonna need obviously is a pump, and I have the Spectra S2, and I'll be doing a review and demo on this Spectra and how to use it, but I can't get it out of the bag. But here it is, it's in this bag right here. And I think the most important thing when you're pumping is to make sure you have the right flange, I don't know if I'm saying it right, size. So the standard came with a 24 and a 28. And so I had been using the 24 for the longest time, and I used it for Callie too, because I didn't know about this technique and this trick or tip, that you have to have them sized properly for the size of your nipple. So I was using the 24 for the longest time. I got mine sized, or I had the recommendation that I could go to a 21 if I wanted to. So 21 is a little bit smaller, and this was the biggest difference for me. Like I saw once I switched to a 21, I saw 1 to 2 ounces more of milk per pumping session. This made a huge difference of having the right size flange. Gosh, I'm probably not saying that right. Anyway, so that's one tip with pumping. The next tip is to use coconut oil. And I didn't know this as well with my first child. So what you're gonna wanna do, now I just got this empty face moisturizer container and I loaded it up with coconut oil. So there's coconut oil in there. And what you're gonna wanna do is you take a little bit and then you lube this area here, right here, and then right here where your nipple and a little bit of your areola would touch. And that's going to really help any sensitivity or any pain that you may feel with pumping. That's going to really smooth it out and make the experience a lot easier. The next tip is power pumping. Now, if you want to, two things. If you want to increase your supply from the beginning after you nurse, pump right after you nurse so that your body thinks your baby needs more than what it's actually drinking. Now, I couldn't do that with this baby because I have a toddler, so after I fed him, I had things to do. I didn't have an extra 10 minutes there to pump and pump more or get any extra milk that he may have not eaten. So I didn't have time for that, but that is a huge tip if you want to build your supply. That's going to trick your body. Now, power pumping, what it is, if you do this once a day, maybe for about a week, this will also increase your supply. And so what it is that you empty your breasts out completely. Well, your breasts are never empty. They're always producing milk, but you empty them out until you feel them really soft and jiggly, and then until you just get a few drips of milk here and there. Until you do that, so that could take you 20-25 minutes. Then you stop. Then at 10 minutes, you pump for 10 minutes, stop for 10 minutes, pump for 10 minutes, and you just do that for maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's called power pumping. So that gets your body going into thinking it tricks your body into thinking the baby is cluster feeding. It'll trick your body into thinking it needs more milk. So do that for about a week, and you're bound to see more supply. Next question we all have is, what foods can we eat to boost up our supply? There's a lot of natural foods you can eat, but there's also a lot of like myth foods or like junky foods that people say work wonders for them. I would steer away from the junky foods. Some tips I had seen were Ovaltine, which is like a chocolate milk, Whoppers chocolate candies because it has malt in it, anything that has malt in it, oatmeal cookies, lactation cookies, things like that have a lot of calories. And if you're trying to burn baby fat away and not trying to gain more weight, then I would steer clear from those items and go more towards the natural foods. So almonds are great for milk producing. Be careful with those because they do have a lot of calories. It's good fat, but just be careful with the quantity. Flaxseed, spinach, protein. Brewer's yeast is what you're going to see in a lot of the lactation cookies and the flaxseed as well. But you can get Brewer's yeast tablets. I got these at Walmart, and they're just I think it was $5. And you just take two a day, and they're small little tablets. So that's what they look like. And I love anything easy like that to take, not something that I have to take 2-3 times a day. That's just too much for me. I don't have time for that. So this is really easy to take. Another tip is drinking water. Of course, you need to drink water all throughout the day to help with your supply. But one thing that I've noticed, that if I drink a lot of water before bed, then my middle of the night feedings are really good, and even my morning pumping session at work is really good. So I'll have a bottle of water next to on my nightstand, drink some water before bed, and then when I wake up in the middle of the night to feed him, I also drink water then, and then I notice that my pumping in the morning, I get a little bit extra of what I need, and then I can use that to balance out what maybe I didn't produce throughout the day. So Drink as much water as you can. That is going to be great for your supply. Another tip is using a pump bra. And this is going to let you be hands-free, and that is huge, I think, when you're at work or when you're even at home and you have to do something maybe right next to you. So you want to use a pumping bra, and basically what it is just something you wrap around your boobs, and it has 2 holes in it for your nipples, and that's where you put the pump, the flanges, and then your hands free, which is great. Another thing that's going to help with breastfeeding and making the experience easier is having a car adapter for your pump. That is huge. You can get a manual pump, but I've noticed I don't have the patience for that. Some people love it, but I don't have the patience. So I like to know that if I'm out for a long period of time and I need a pump, or the baby's not around me and I can't nurse, or whatever it may be, then I can go ahead, get in the car, pump a little bit so that I don't miss that feeding time, and then I'm good to go. And last but not least is having a great nursing cover, because if you don't have a good nursing cover, you're not going to feel comfortable for nursing in public, which can affect your supply because you may be stressing out, or you may just skip a feeding, and that's going to affect your supply because your body's going to think that you don't need that milk. So this one is from Milkmaid, and this is a nursing poncho, Milkmaid Goods. It's a nursing poncho, and it goes all the way around, which is great because you technically don't have to have a nursing top on. You can just pull your shirt up because this will cover everything. So that's really convenient because sometimes I don't want to wear a nursing shirt. I want to wear a regular shirt. The only downside to that is that it doesn't have the wire on top. So when you're trying to like adjust your boob for the baby and put it in his mouth or whatever, you kind of have to hold it. So it's a little frustrating, but I do like it. It's very lightweight and it's easy to use. So make sure you just have a great nursing cover, something you're comfortable with. So those are my 10 tips and tricks for breastfeeding success. Using or doing these things are really going to help ease the whole process. Breastfeeding is not easy. It takes dedication and a lot of discipline and sacrifice. So good luck to you mamas out there, and do what you think is best for your baby. And I hope you have a great breastfeeding experience. Bye.